We begin today a new beginning, part 4 of Tanya, called Igeres HaKodesh. It is the holy writings of the Alter Rebbe, written, penned by his holy hand, many letters to communities of various issues. As we will see, many of them are about tzedakah, charity, and many other very important issues of the day. So we begin with Siman Aleph, with the first letter, and we begin with benediction, to bless and to give thanks to God, for He is good. Says the Alter Rebbe, my soul has heard and been revived of good tidings, and good signifies Torah. God's Torah is perfect and whole. And what did I hear? About the completion of the whole Talmud in its entirety in most towns and congregations of the Hasidic Brotherhood. So much gratitude and respect for the past accomplishments, and now a request for the future. May God grant from year to year to add strength to the hearts among the mighty. And might is that of Torah. As the written word comes from Chachma and expressed in Chesed is the right side, wisdom and kindness. But the oral Torah is called might, Gvura. Gvura Shel Torah, the oral Torah. And that's the left side, coming from Bina on the left, and Gvura, which is judgment and severity. So you have both aspects of Torah. So on the strength of the oral Torah, that gives the soul strength. King Solomon said, Chagrava is masneha. She girds her loins with strength. That's from Eshes Chayil, Woman of Valor, that we say every Friday night, which is in honor of the Woman of Valor. But it's also, that's why it's said Friday night, from the Woman of Valor who creates such a beautiful Shabbos. But it's also an allegory, a metaphor for Knesset Yisrael, the congregation of the Israelites, of the souls, the font of all souls, as they're bound up there. And therefore, to strengthen the soul, you need to gird your loins like a warrior goes out to battle to gain maximum strength. And of course, it's a metaphor. It means loins of the soul. So what are loins? Loins are the underframe that supports the whole body, including, of course, the head, and allows you to go to the destination you need to go to. And those loins then, therefore, when they're strengthened, give greater fortitude to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Right? So just as it is with the body, so too is the spirituality of the soul. That we need to support the loins in order to allow the body and the head of the soul, right, to reach its destination. So, the soul's loins, what is it? It holds up the body, the soul, the individual. What holds us up is our emunah, our true belief. Our true belief in one God. What does that mean? That one God who permeates all of creation. Everything. God's found everywhere, in anything and everything. The uniqueness of everything in creation is that of God only. At the same time, God encompasses all of creation, meaning he transcends it. So there's an immanence of God that is very accessible, and at the same time a transcendence of God. That God's not limited to creation. Transcendence doesn't mean he's beyond here. It means he's here in a way that transcends our true capacity to experience. Because there's no place void of him, void of his immanence and transcendence. He's above to no end and below to no limit. Except that the physical world hides that truth and that reality. So God is found in all dimensions of time and space and in spirit. So this is the faith that we have. And why is it a faith? Because we got two opposite ideas here. Transcendence and immanence of God. Paradox. Well, we can understand how we need to come on to both. As you say God transcendence, so he's on immanence, that means he's somewhere where he's not. And if you're going to say he's only immanent, well, that would be saying that the world is God, God is the world. No, he transcends it. It's got to be both. So this is our faith that upholds and sustains our head. Meaning, what's our head? Our intelligence. Our intelligence that gives us the capability to contemplate about God and to know God, his greatness in dimensions of time and space, or as it's called, world, year, soul. World, space, year, time, and soul, spirit. In other words, before you can use your intelligence, you need to have a proper faith of God's engagement in creation before you can appreciate and understand anything of him within creation. And not only that appreciation, but then from that appreciation, that awareness, that understanding that will lead from that meditation, that contemplation, to the magnitude of his loving kindness and the wonders that we have before us. In other words, if you just start with your intelligence, well, your intelligence will take you wherever your inclination wants to lead you. It can lead you astray. Right? There are many that used intelligence as the foundation of their lives. And ultimately that just leads you in the wrong place. You don't go where you need to go. You don't do what you need to do. But when the foundation is faith in God means that God is immanent and transcendent at the same time within my life, within creation as a whole. Now I could think about him. Once I have that awareness, that knowledge, or that faith, now I could contemplate and think about the way he is found within time, space, and spirit, and be able to even contemplate the fact that his loving kindness and wonders are literally with us. And every single person, of course. And for the Jewish people, that how he brings us near to him through the Torah that he gave to us, right? And the mission that he gave to us, that we should cleave to him. And as a result, when we have this awareness, then we come to recognize, as our sages say, that 1 hour of repentance and good deeds, meaning mitzvahs, in this world surpasses everything in the life of the world to come, in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. Because in the Garden of Eden, you're going to get a mere glimmer of divinity from the Shekhinah. That's what you get in the world to come. As the world to come is created by the letter Yud of God's name, and you get from that a ray of light of God, which tantalizes the soul, of course, right? But in this world, right now, tshuva and maisim tovim, penitence, returning to God, as we explained, tashuv hey, to return to hey, that we can always get closer in our connection to God, and the good deeds, the mitzvahs that we do, bring us a connection to the essence of God, not the ray of light of God, right? Sometimes we connect with a person to some ray of them, some expression of them, and we connect to an expression of them, a part of them, but not to the core essence, right? To your children, you're connected to core essence. Your parents, you're connected to core essence, right? Beyond the ray of, of goodness of theirs or beauty of theirs, right? But to connect to the essence. So here in this world, although we don't experience it, but we're connecting to the very essence of God, absolute infinity of God. And that's what it means that he raises his glory upon his nation down here, that through the mitzvah we can connect to the core essence of God. And that's what it means that God commanded us, when we make a blessing, that he has sanctified us through his commandments, and he allows us to rise beyond the human condition. In other words, left to our own, we wouldn't be able to rise above. So you got to start with that faith of the paradoxical manner that God is in creation, within creation, and beyond creation at the same time, which can't really grasp that. Either you're here or you're like elsewhere. Either you're beyond or you're immanent. Yeah, there's an eminence, but both at the same time. That's why we call it a faith. Even though we can understand why it has to be that way, but we don't really experience it. We really don't sense that. So, through the mitzvah, that God gives us an opportunity that we can transcend. And reflecting God's infinite kindness that he has for us as chosen nation to bring us close as waters reflect. So when I contemplate this notion, this intellectually understand it, right? Or if it's just the natural awe and love that my soul has, it will create in me that love will create in me a desire to yearn, to cleave to God. I want to connect. I want to connect in a way, right, of a rotzi, a desire to advance with a passion. And sometimes it can be so powerful that the soul wants to flee the body. But then we come back. The second stage, shoiv, we retreat in a sober, self-effacing return to the reality that the soul is enclosed in the body, and the purpose is to be here. To be here. To connect here. To be embraced by God down here through the mitzvah that we do. So this is the end of the first part of this letter. It's a brief recap. Chag is must now that we have to gird ourselves. How do you gird? We didn't get to that point. But what is the girding of the loins, metaphorically of the soul? That's the faith that we have in the absolute oneness of God. There's an eminence of God in everywhere, no place, no thing that is got not God's involvement, shall we say, or enclosed, and at the same time, completely transcended. Transcendent doesn't mean not here, but just not an experience. That is when you have the proper appreciation of that. Now you can use your intelligence. And this is the difficulty of what happens when everything is based on your intelligence, which your intelligence is going to be then warped by what you want. What you want, you will warp your intelligence, and that's called sheikhad, bribery. You will bribe intelligence that ideally could be objective, to some degree at least. But based on what you want, you will warp your intelligence to rationalize its truth. And we all do that. Unless we begin with girding our loins, with what is the true faith. And that faith is not something outside of me. It's a part of me. Part of my soul, because I have that part of God within me. So I have that part of God with me that is eminent and transcendent. That allows me to engage in a way of total engagement, being present, and at the same time to rise above the fray, to rise above the human condition. That's what the soul gives me. So now that when I think about God, or I think about anything for that matter, when you are guided by the proper loins that will ground you properly, so whatever I think about God, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to appreciate His loving kindness. I'm going to appreciate and sense the blessings I have in my life. When I think and I contemplate. Because I'm grounded properly with 2 feet, with the loins that hold up the rest of the body of the soul, the rest of the body of my being, my intelligence, in my head. And I can really sense His wonders in my life. And how He actually brings me close to Him. And how? To be one with Him. Through Torah and mitzvahs. Through tshuva and good deeds. And that's so much greater than what anything I could get after this world. So whereas everybody else is looking to remove themselves from this, or, do your work over here so you can get the reward over there. No. Here is where the essential bond and connection with God is created through the mitzvah, through what we're doing right now, studying Torah. Very powerful idea. Anybody with questions, comments, thoughts? Rachel, ooh. Is it possible to have faith without intelligence, as in a child's faith? Increased faith comes from belief increased intelligence of Kedoshim is compelled compared to the worldly intelligence. So faith we have because we have a piece of God in us, so by definition we have faith. The question is accessing it, being aware of it, and what that means, that faith. So as we've described. Right? So we've got it. Now using your mind to be aware of it and contemplate that. Right? Is so we have it. The child has it. Right? And we just shouldn't remain just as a child and have that faith work on us rather than we work on it. And that's what we're learning over here. When you recognize that it's the loins that hold up, that prop up the rest of my being. So, and it's in the recognition of that and the awareness of that, when we contemplate that, then what we're going to do is become the adult. And the point is not to remain that child, right? And that's what the Alter Rebbe wants to do with us over here. Is it there nonetheless? For sure it's there. And it will, have its effect upon me, but that's its effect upon me rather than my taking the, taking it by the horns and using it to being affected, to affect it and to make me grow from it. So that's the goal, right? For those who do Torah study as a hobby and do not apply it in life, and in fact go against Torah teachings, is as long as they are alive, they have a chance for tshuva. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Amazing. All of you. Okay. Rambam coming up. We're going to continue the conversation because we need to understand, how do you feed your faith? How do you gird your, it says gird your loins, means the loins is faith in the metaphor. But here it says in, that's what we'll say tonight, Neshes Chayil, a gird. So it means gird means to strengthen it. So how do you strengthen faith? Stay tuned. We'll have that in the next class. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day and a wonderful good Shabbos to everybody.